Hello, good morning. I am vlogging again today. I decided to vlog all day because I realized that I felt better when I was doing that, and it just motivates me to do things that will be good for the vlog but also good for me. So I'm just like a better human if I vlog, so we're gonna vlog. So I'm rewatching Ugly Betty because on the Creative Pep Talk podcast, which I'll link below so you can check it out, the most recent episode, Andy the host, and I listened to this last night and it was like so timely, but he said to kind of revisit like your favorites, like things that really inspired you at the time when you watched them, and Ugly Betty was one of the things that like definitely made me want to get into fashion. I'm like tearing up and I have chills like talking about it, but it was like a huge show like in my life, like a huge impact on me. That What Not to Wear and Teen Vogue, like at that, like when I was like 14, 15, 16, like those influences were like, yeah, everything to like why I want to do fashion. So I'm rewatching Ugly Betty to kind of try to tap into those old you know, things that used to inspire me. On the Creative Pep Talk podcast, he was saying how like if we're all just like consuming the same stuff, like watching the same like current shows, getting inspired from Instagram, getting inspired from like other YouTubers, then we're just kind of like, you know, churning out the same stuff. So we need to intake different things that, you know, all your peers aren't watching right now, so that you can contribute something that is fresh and new and different. So that's what I'm trying to do. And while watching Ugly Betty, I'm also going to be making apple turnovers. My mom and I have gotten to the end of reading Little Women, and so we're gonna bake one of the recipes from the book, which is this, and we're gonna eat them while we talk about the final chapters that we just read. So I'm not a baker really, like I don't bake at all. So we'll see how this goes. The recipe seems pretty easy. So the recipe calls for 2 to 3 Granny Smiths, my brown sugar, cinnamon, and nutmeg, which I picked up yesterday, vanilla, and I've been letting my puff pastries thaw all morning so that they're ready to cook. I'll link the recipe I'm using below. It's actually from like a book club recipe with questions about Little Women, and like, yeah, I had like the questions and this recipe from the book, so my mom actually found this for us to do. Alright, peel, core, and chop the apples to 1/2 inch cubes. I completely forgot at the start of Ugly Betty, Daniel was a jerk to Betty and like tried to make her quit. Cook an additional 3 minutes, stirring until the apples are coated and the sugar melts. Okay, I'm gonna cut the puff pastry into like 4 sections. Cut puff pastry. I'm gonna preheat the oven to 400 while I prepare the pastries and put the mixture in. Just put a heaping spoonful. Okay, that was too heaping. I'm gonna just scoop a little bit out so that it can fold over. It says use a fork to pinch the edges further. We're gonna move the process over here for better lighting. I think I'm probably gonna prefer the ones with like less filling in it, because I'm not like a huge sweet person, and I really am a big pastry bready parts person, so I think I'm gonna do the rest with less filling. I'm filled them with the paste with the filling. Less filling is better. It says a heaping spoonful, but a heaping was too much. You like use a fork to like press down the sides, and then you cut holes in the top. Yeah. Next you need to grease a baking sheet, and then you put them in the oven. My mom said, it says 25 minutes on the recipe, but my mom said 25 is too long, so we're gonna do 20.
Do you have enough for this? Do you want me to save you some?
Okay. Sit down with me and I'll give you a little recap of Ugly Betty. So far in Ugly Betty, this is what happened. She is fresh out of school. She's trying to get a job. She wants to work in magazines. They're like her dream. Sounds like she's more into like ones that are about news and politics. She goes for an interview and they like, upon seeing her, they're like, no, we filled all the spots already. And she was interviewing for Mead Publications, which Mode magazine is underneath. And Mode magazine is the fashion magazine that this whole show is about.
Okay.
So Mead turns her away. Then we cut to Daniel, who is like the son of the owner of Mead Publications. And he is a playboy, and basically he is like hooking up with his secretary, and his dad comes in and he's like, no more of this. This isn't how you run a magazine. The dad makes them hire Betty as his assistant.
So he doesn't like, yeah.
So he doesn't sleep with his assistants anymore.
I bet you they do later on, though.
I don't remember if they do. But anyway, Betty goes to work. Oh, and her interview that she went to, that they turned her away, that she was sitting with another girl who was wearing like a high fashion poncho. And when she gets called to work at Mode, she's like, oh, I know what I'll wear, and she wears like a Guadalajara poncho, like that says Guadalajara on it, because she thinks that they're high fashion. She goes to her first day at work, and then Daniel, her boss, is like talking to like another like hot guy, and he's like, you can't have her working for you. What about your image? And he tells him to try to make her quit by like making her suffer, and so he's trying to make her suffer.
That's lame.
But I forgot he did that, because they like later on, I feel like I forgot that he was a bad guy. I think he like learns to appreciate her. Oh, and also, so Daniel was given the job at Mode instead of Wilhelmina Slater, who was like the creative director. She obviously wanted the role of editor-in-chief. And so now she's trying to sabotage Daniel, and Daniel's trying to sabotage Betty.
Okay.
So she's like giving Daniel bad advice for like what to do for the shoots and stuff.
So everyone's kind of looking out for their own interests right now. Okay.
Yeah. Do you think
I think so.
Okay, good. The puff pastry is really puffed up. You little ham. You know exactly where you're needed, don't you? Here's my turnovers. Matt, you can have one if you want. I was thinking of heating it up and having it with a little bit of ice cream.